amazing proposal. I'm very impressed.
We have a public comment down in the Q&A from Maria Denu, one of our neighbors up in the RPV area. She says, love the idea of the flowers and colors on the bridge. Thank you for your ideas. So you have a motion before you, Javier, to basically adopt this and send it forward to our boards.
I totally agree with it.
You have 3 of your members here, so I think you have a quorum, and I know we have a quorum, so we could vote.
I have a comment, sir.
Pete?
Go ahead, Pete.
Yeah, the comment I have is it's a hell of a good idea, but I'd like to make an adjustment for all new license they're giving out for some businesses and new development of the contractors. They should contribute it to our beautification of our city, and we should make them contribute something for beautification, and some arrangement has to be made there.
Okay, we'll take it into consideration.
I have a quick question, if you don't mind.
Yeah, Jenny.
I was wondering about that ugly billboard that's right in front of the bridge, that like the pedestrian bridge. Is there anything in our power to get rid of that thing?
I believe the permit on that is about to expire within the next 2 years or so.
Yeah, in about 2 years. Until then, no, but in about 2 years. One of the reasons that the city acquired that lot was to get rid of that billboard eventually.
Okay.
So that is on the councilman's, he's got it in his plans, and Northwest recently sent him a letter reminding him of that.
Okay, thank you. I was just wondering because it's like right there, and it's like, oh my God, it destroys the whole thing.
Yeah, it'll be nice when it's gone.
Yeah. All right, thank you.
Diana, I move to approve this motion.
Yeah, it's been moved and seconded already.
Okay.
I think Northwest is ready to vote on it. I don't know if the other neighborhood councils are, but I think I'll just go ahead and take a Northwest vote on it, and I will do it by a roll call vote, and I will start with Chuck Hart.
Yes.
Pete Burmeister.
Yes.
Jason.
Yes.
Linda Alexander. Linda Alexander.
Yes.
I know how you're voting, but you have to say it. Pat Nave.
Yes.
Charlotte Bell is absent. Rock.
Yes.
Alec Norman.
Yes.
And Jan. Same.
Yes.
Yes. Motion carries. So Northwest will be ready to take this forward to our board.
Did you vote?
Oh, Diana has to vote. Yes. I got reminded over here. I hadn't voted.
Diana, Coastal will be glad to vote on this right now. There's 3 of us here, so we can give it a try.
Okay. Go ahead, Robin.
Beautiful work, by the way. I'll move that we support this.
Second.
Noel,
Yes.
Greg,
Yes.
and I vote yes. So we'll take it forward to our board too.
Okay, if I could get Central to second this motion to support the idea.
I'll second it.
Okay, Frank. Can we take a vote? Army,
Yes.
Eugenia,
Yes.
and Frank.
Yes.
And myself, yes. So we move
All
it forward
three-
to the
all
board.
three unanimous.
Yes. Thanks, Jason. That's great.
It's amazing work. Amazing work.
Right. Awesome.
Very good. By the way, Diana, do we know what the schedule is for the beautification of the Gaffey?
We don't know the schedule yet, but they're supposed to come to our meeting in December. It's being taken over by DOT. And so they're supposed to be at our meeting in December. And so at that point, we're going to ask them about the schedule.
Okay. Very well. Will do. Okay, so next item is item number 4. Consider the CIS in support of Council File 20-0047, 19-0400 regarding SB 330. And Robin, is your turn.
All right. Do I need to share screen or does somebody else have this that can put up in front of us?
Alec, can you put it up?
I can. Which file is it?
Ooh,
Is
how
it,
is it worded on the,
is it telecommuting or?
no, try the one above that. Is the one above that?
Yeah,
See-
private detention facilities.
No, go up,
No,
go up higher. One more up, I think. What else is on there?
Is it high value or support CF 19074?
Yes, that one, I think.
Oh, no.
Try that one.
No,
No.
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 the last one, I think.
It's the last one.
Oh, it's the one that has a weird name.
Yeah.
It's the one
The
that,
application one.
yeah, it has some weird name. I don't know how it got that.
Okay, you can see this, right?
A little bigger.
And
There.
I noticed that Adele has her name up, maybe her hand up.
Oh,
She probably wants
didn't
to
know she
be
was.
upgraded to panelist.
Well, I'll take care of that. I just wondered if she wanted to vote on your last motion since she's a member of your committee.
Yeah, I didn't see her on the list.
Yeah, I hadn't either.
Well, I guess we already approved it, so that's fine.
Okay.
Sorry, Adele. All right. Well, even though this is a complicated subject, what we're proposing today is pretty straightforward. SB 330 is called the Housing Crisis Act of 2019. It was passed by the state legislature last year and went into effect January 1st this year. And what we're doing here, we are doing a CIS to support an action by City Council that was on September 30th. And we are supporting their request for the city attorney and city planning to report back to them in 30 days on how the city is implementing SB 330. I went to the council file today and I noted they're already late for this November 11th. So, but that happens. And I think it's still important that if we all agree here today that we do support this. The first whereas is basically talking about the law going into effect. It provides enhanced protections for tenants in rent stabilized units, RSO. And that includes replacing housing units in the same number as those being demolished, replacement of protected units, that's low income on a 1-for-1 basis, giving tenants the right to remain in their units until 6 months prior to the construction. No difference between ministerial and non-ministerial or discretionary developments. Tenants in protected units would have the first right of return to the replacement housing and legal recourse for tenants against the city if the protections aren't enforced. The second whereas, SB 330 provides for those protections and that Department of City Planning, Building and Safety and Housing have not been complying with SB 330 as of the first of the year as they were required to, and they have not been enforcing these protections. So therefore, whatever it is, San Pedro Neighborhood Council demands, we can soften that if you want to request, but that the city of LA comply with the provisions of SB 330 immediately to minimize the effects of displacement in the face of rising development contributing to the non-compliance with these provisions. And further, that the city attorney direct HCID Housing, Department of City Planning, and Department of Building and Safety to add these protections to all the Ellis Act eviction and replacement checklists for full compliance with SB 330 provisions prior to approving any more Ellis Act evictions or issuing any permits for the demolition of housing units. And again, this is a motion to support the action of City Council and get planning and city attorney and housing to get this implemented and in effect.
So I assume, Robin, that that first paragraph is all the things that the law already requires, and you would just, they're just being enumerated there. Is that correct?
Correct. It's a high level summary. The law is very detailed and complicated and has other aspects we're not even mentioning here. But yeah, those are the ones that we're most concerned about, that they are not being enforced.
Okay, thank you.
Any questions? I can't see them, Diana, so you'll.
I don't see any hands. Do you, Javier?
No, I don't. I'm looking, but I don't see anybody.
Well, does anyone in my land use committee want to propose a motion here?
I'll propose that we adopt this motion as part of Council File 20-0047 19-0400, passed on 9/30/2020, and look for a second on.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to support this motion and CIS. Adele. Thank you. That was a yes. Greg?
Yes.
Noel, it must be a yes, and I'm a yes. And am I missing anyone? I think I got everybody. Okay, so we will take it forward to Coastal. Does anyone else want to act on it today, or do you want to take it back to your individual?
I think we could act on it. I have all the members present. Would anybody like to second the motion to support this?
I'll second the motion.
CIS?
I will.
I second it.
Has
Frank.
someone from Central?
Thanks, Peter, for the moral support. Okay, very well. So we'll take a vote on it. Army?
Yes.
Eugenia?
I'll abstain.
Frank?
Yes.
And myself. Yes, so 3 votes and yes and 1 abstention. Motion passes, so we'll move it to the board.
Is anyone from Northwest want to make a motion? Are people from Northwest ready to vote on it?
I'd like to make the motion that we adopt it also.
I'd like to make one comment that I like the idea of not saying demand, since we can't really demand they do anything.
Thank you.
You want to take out the word demand? Where's that?
I think request is probably like
Yeah.
the original softened verbiage would probably be better based on our authority.
I would certainly prefer to have that in a Northwest motion. So we'll change the wording to request for the Northwest motion anyway. Did you want to second it then with that, Jason?
Sure.
Okay. Is there any other discussion from Northwest before we vote? Okay. Chuck Hart,
Yes.
Pete Burmeister,
Yes,
Jason,
Yes.
Linda,
Yes.
Pat Nave,
Yes.
Rock,
No.
Alec,
Yes.
Jan, Jan, if you're voting, I can't hear you.
No.
No. And I'll vote yes. So the motion carries from Northwest with 2 noes and the rest yeses. Oh, nobody abstained. 2 noes and the rest yeses.
Very good. All right, well, unless there's any other questions on the item, we'll move on to the next item on the agenda, item 5. And this is consider CIS in support of draft ordinance to prohibit private detention centers. Linda Alexander?
Yes, this motion is before, or this issue is before the council. I'm not as thorough as Jason. I need lessons from Jason on how to put this together. But essentially, they are against having private detention centers that focus mostly on juvenile. And the idea is that they're not getting the sufficient care and treatment in private facilities. And it may be less expensive, but the idea is, particularly with juveniles, the hope, at least, or aspiration, that incarceration can lead to a better outcome with some education, some rehabilitation opportunities. So I've put together a CIS that would support the motion to prevent private detention centers in the city of Los Angeles.
And I'll second the motion for Northwest.
I have a question. Are we talking citywide?
Yes.
Okay.
So I have a question. When you say private detention centers, are you talking about for-profit detention centers?
Yes, I'm sorry. Yes, exactly. Because the point is, I think the point is obvious, you know, for-profit needs to make money and they're going to cut wherever they can. And that's perfectly reasonable understanding of corporations. But in this case, it leads to disaster outcomes.
I have a question. This is Chuck.
Hey, Chuck.
Hi. What's the alternative? Why did they originate in the beginning? Is juvenile hall full? Why are these necessary?
Yeah, apparently they're, well, whenever they're full, and this also has to do with some, if they're full, or the government would like to go to for-profit because I think in general, it's cheaper for the taxpayers. That's, I think, the blunt way of putting that. So apparently do need more detention facilities. And the alternative is the public builds the detention centers. Pete.
Yeah, I was thinking instead of calling it detention center, call it community service center, because down the road, that's going to be in the juvenile's mind and they want to better themselves instead putting a label on them of that they have been.
Yeah, that's a lovely idea. We can't really do that because that's what this ordinance speaks to. So we don't want to confuse the issue by changing the name. I certainly agree with you, but the ordinance speaks to private detention centers.
Can it be called private community service center?
I think Pete, it's really not, as Linda said, it's not something that's within this particular motion. That's something that has to be taken up later in a different time period. It's not a part of this, should not be a part of this motion. It wouldn't be appropriate because we're responding to a city council motion. It's talking specifically about outlawing the private detention centers. That's the purpose, would be not to not have private detention centers.
Thank you.
Chuck again, Chuck.
I'm sorry, is there a way we can put it on the screen?
I don't have it on, I'm sorry, I don't have it.
Oh, this is it, right?
Yes.
Thank you. If you zoom a little bit, that would be.
You're enlarged a little bit.
That's, yeah. Did you,
Great.
I have more. I have the whole page and a half.
Yeah, you can see that it's incompatible. These centers just house youth, and since they're for profit, they shortcut everything else, particularly rehabilitation, which is the essence. You know, you want people coming out that have some kind of skill, but here it's just bypasses for pure profits.
This also includes community detention facilities for unaccompanied minors, which are facilities operated by the private or non-governmental person and intended to house unaccompanied, undocumented minors in the custody of the federal government.
And I think that was the one that really prompted the council to act.
I would imagine, yeah.
I would move that we bring this back to Coastal for support. If this is the time to do that, and look for a second.
Chuck again. Hello?
Chuck, yes?
Yeah. Mike just comment that they're making a statement. I don't see any evidence about to the contrary or to support what their claim is. I think something is better than nothing at this point. We just can't let these, if juvenile hall is too crowded, we just can't, unless they have an alternative plan, this doesn't even deserve a vote. My opinion. Thank you.
Doesn't deserve a vote.
I have a comment. So just having seen some of this on the private prison level, not necessarily on juvenile detention, but knowing a little bit about this, what the private prisons often do is they somewhat cherry pick their prisoners. So they'll take, because they're skimpy on health care and other things, they leave the sicker or more troublesome prisoners to the federal or state systems, and they cherry pick the best ones. So whatever little savings are really, they're taking the cream of the crop, right? So they can make the most profit, so they can skip on healthcare. It's really not a very tasteful solution to our incarceration problem. So I support this.
And Chuck,
Sounds like charter school.
Chuck, I'm sorry, Chuck, there are also, I don't have them all here. There are numerous studies that speak to the disadvantages in nonprofit and for-profit facilities. They're not written here in the ordinance, but it's speaking to those studies.
I understand, but there doesn't seem to be an alternative solution.
The solution is that we have, state or city run facilities that are better run actually than the private ones.
Yeah.
Just for the record, it may be the first time I agree with Chuck, so.
Frank,
Okay.
you want to say something?
I think, unfortunately, a lot of these facilities also take over like existing hotels or other sort of building that were not meant to be for that. And therefore, it's not the best environment for anybody to be there to begin with. And it could be in any area of the city. So I don't know right now that there's any regulations that restrict where those go anyway. So we could end up with one here in town.
So I'd like to go ahead and have Northwest vote then. Linda made the motion for Northwest and I seconded it. And so I'll go ahead and call the motion for Chuck. I know how you're going to vote, but vote Chuck.
No.
Pete,
Yes.
Jason,
Yes.
Linda,
Yes.
Pat Nave,
Yes.
Rock,
You always stutter when you come to me. No.
Alec,
Yep. Yes.
Jan,
No.
and I'm going to vote yes. So motion passes from Northwest. And I heard Coastal saying they wanted to take it back to a fuller committee meeting. Is that what I heard?
Well, I'm asking for a point of information about, do we vote here to support this, or do we need to take it back to the full committee and then have the board vote on it?
Well,
That's-
ultimately the board has to vote, but what do you do with the committee? It's up to you guys.
I'm prepared to vote.
Well, I was making a motion to support this, so.
Okay, I second.
Okay, thank you, Adele. It's been moved and seconded to support this and do a CIS. Noel and Adele are yeses, right?
Yes.
Greg
Yes.
and I am yes, so we will take this forward. Thank you.
And I will ask the members of Central to ask for a second to support this motion.
Army
Okay,
second.
Army, seconds the motion, so we'll take a vote. Army,
Yes, I support this draft.
Frank,
Yes.
Eugenia,
Yes.
and myself. Yes, so it passes, and we'll move it to the board.
Okay.
Thank you. Let's see. Next item on the agenda is CIS in support of telecommuting council file 200584 and 20498. Robin.
All right, I'll just sort of read through this. And by the way, there's a lot of discussion about telemarketing at the state level as well. So, and the city is obviously taking it up here. This would create incentives for employees of businesses and for government officials and employees to work from home. While remote work is not a panacea for the climate crisis, making the practice more widespread and available in Los Angeles could help to reduce commuter traffic, which would have the benefit of reducing vehicle air pollution and greenhouse gas emissions. Teleworking is just one of many tools in our toolbox that we must utilize to fight the climate crisis and create sustainable air quality improvements to our region. By improving air quality, we also create healthier Angelenos. Air pollution is linked to a host of health problems and makes people more vulnerable to COVID-19. A recent UCLA study found that approximately 14,000 premature deaths could be avoided annually if California decreases greenhouse gas emissions to net zero by 2050. Underserved communities who suffer the most from air pollution would see disproportionately higher levels of benefits from cleaner air, the study also found. So therefore be it resolved, the Coastal San Pedro Neighborhood Council supports the city studying these issues further and exploring its implementation in the city of Los Angeles.
Robin, is there any language we could put in that last sentence that made it a little more so that they put a timeliness about it? Well, I don't know what's in the original motion, council motion, but you know, the oftentimes the report back in 30 days, 60 days,
Sure. Let's say within 60, just to be reasonable.
who would report back? Because who are they asking to study it?
I'd have to look at the council file. You want me to do that real quick? I don't have it in front of me.
Yeah, well, but maybe while you're doing that, we can see if there's anyone that wants to question or comments on it. Pat Nave wants to comment.
One thing that has always struck me about San Pedro was the statistic that we've discovered in looking at big developments. And that is that if you have two households and you have two parents working in each household, so you have 4 people working, 2 households, 3 out of the 4 are traveling more than 15 miles to work. And it's one of the things that has made, I think, made it tougher for San Pedro to develop, is because we don't really have local business for people to go to. So it makes us a kind of a remote bedroom community. So I would think that anything that we could do that would make it easier to work from home would help us with our transportation, our air quality, but also our, address it so that there were local jobs for local people.
Are there other? Rock has his hand up. Rock.
Well, I just find this interesting. We're told to eat outside, and we have this. So it doesn't make any sense to me. It's already happening. People have been telecommuting for years, so I just find this sort of unnecessary. That's all.
I have a comment.
Jason?
Yeah, so my former, well, my current position, but my former work lifestyle was I was on the road 75% of the time traveling to clients, because when they pay for someone to provide services and they're paying a fair amount of money for it. They wanted you to be on site for no practical reason other than staring at you in the eye as we had done for decades. So while telecommuting was always possible and was never a detractor from the service provided, they wanted you, your butt in their seat. Well, this has changed all that with the virus situation. And we're actually finding that we can save both the client and ourselves a lot of hassle, money, time, and effort as a consequence of greenhouse gas emissions and travel and tons of wasted time by working remotely. And I've been doing this completely 100% efficiently remotely since March. So while some companies, I work for a tech company, have embraced this with open arms, other companies are a little slower to get that, right? Now, there are some jobs that you cannot remote work, but there are a heck of a lot you can. So I think to incentivize this, to improve the air quality, to move us into the next phase of our existence, which will not be driving to sit in a cube farm for the rest of our corporate lives, I think it's great. So I think it's a good idea.
Greg Ellis has his hand up.
I have a comment also.
Yeah, I just want to emphasize and build upon Jason's comments, because in my line of work, it's been pretty similar. I work at a law firm in downtown LA, and up until about 8 months ago, I was spending a good hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes every day commuting, which was just not productive time. Whereas these past few months with telecommuting, which has been around for decades, but hasn't been implemented in anywhere near the scale we've seen these past few months, me and my coworkers just have a lot more time that we can either use for more efficient work or relaxation while still getting the same amount of work time in every day. So I do think there are definite advantages to continuing to incentivize it, to create these additional benefits beyond just what we're talking about in the community impact statement as it's written, all of which I agree with.
Chuck has a statement.
Yeah, Chuck.
I like the idea is well-meaning. The intent of it is well-meaning, but I think it's too intrusive. It may lead to a mandatory, an obligation on a part of it. It might intrude on the privatization of our business and our companies. I can see it as just first step in making it permanent or mandatory. That's all.
Second time I've agreed with Chuck Hart.
Like mine.
Diana, I have a comment.
You're saying you see it as a slippery slope. Is that right, Chuck?
Would you repeat that, Diana?
You're saying you see it as a slippery slope.
Yes, I am saying.
Yeah. Let's try to cut what you're saying. Yeah, Javier.
I guess I'm trying to imagine what in particular we're trying to promote. I mean, like Jason says, a lot of the businesses these days have kind of adopted that policy because of the conditions we're under. And I think, a lot of them realize that it's beneficial. We spend a lot of time traveling back and forth. When we have a meeting that only lasts an hour and maybe we travel 2 hours. So definitely, I think some things are changing and probably are not going to go back to the old ways. And I think some firms have, like in architecture, they work at home and they meet maybe once or twice a week. But the rest of the time they're able to work at home. So I think the benefit it's obvious to businesses. In this case, I'm just trying to identify what in particular are we asking them to do.
I can answer that. And now that I've looked at the CIS, we're basically just asking the city departments to study this. And what I would add here is the Coastal San Pedro Neighborhood Council supports the city's chief legislative analyst, personnel department, and information technology departments to study these issues further within the next 60 days and explore its implementation at the city of Los Angeles. So it's just doing the studies to see if Los Angeles would benefit from this, the city would benefit.
City employees.
Yes.
I'll second that.
So
If it's a proposed amendment to the motion, I'll second it.
Yeah, thank you.
I had a question just in the first part where it said which would create incentives for employees of businesses and government officials. Do we have those CISs? Are they listing what those incentives would be? Or is that part of the study to determine what would make sense?
The original council motion does not mention anything specific,
Well,
so I'm sure.
Important.
I have a question, Diana.
I would assume, Noel, that that would be a part of the report back. That's the kind of thing you would, that's the kind of direction that would be typical for the city to give, to go back and look at it and for them to report back with something like that. At which point we can come back and comment on whatever the report back is.
All right, thank you.
Rock?
So we're going to spend less money on police and ask the city to spend money on this. That's my comment.
Got some more raised hands here. Let's see.
I have a question. So, like, what kind of incentives, or what does that mean?
That's what I just asked. We're on the same page, Charmy.
I think that that's one of the asks of city council to say the personnel department to come up with those and to study other cities, see what they're doing.
All right. And then does it, okay, so I'm just a little concerned that government workers are included because, like, does that mean, like, if they're, I feel like they should, oh, wow, that was a very loud motion for Peppa Pig. I feel like if government officials aren't accessible, like there's no office you can drop by, then that's just not right, you know? So, I mean, for everybody else, yeah, but that makes me a little bit leery, like the public servant should be accessible in that way.
Well, actually, you could actually increase the accessibility because right now, if you want to talk to somebody who works in the city, you got to drive to downtown Los Angeles. And it might be that there's ways to do it that are more decentralized. So,
Well, you can always call them or like find them on the internet, sure. But if you don't have any of those options, but you do have bus fare, you can go downtown to their office. So I'm not sure that telecommuting and putting our public servants on this telecommuting program, I mean, well, it's great for some. I mean, it's great for me, honestly. But for people that need to be accessible to the public, I'm not sure that it's right.
I'm pretty sure it wouldn't work for departments like building and safety counters and planning counter too, for that matter. I think it'd be more so back office. I mean, I don't know. That we have to wait and see what the study comes up.
Yeah, I think so too. It's more like not all the people are working with us as their, customers. And there are people who are actually working in the back of the office. So just replying to emails or stuff like that. Like recently I've been talking to some officials and I've been receiving messages from them like late at night. I'm like, oh wow. Because like right now we're all working from home and we can do work at any time. So that's kind of a beneficial, I think, for everybody, so that we don't rely on 9 to 5 and people can do their work anytime pretty much and still be productive and improve the environment. So
that's good to hear that you've gotten after hours responses from government.
Yeah,
it's very encouraging. Well, I do think we should study it. It's just just parts of it the accessibility of it makes me a little nervous. That's all.
Well, I think that's the point.
Nate has a comment.
So it seems to me most of the comments that have been made here are really the kinds of things that would be studied.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
Linda, have something?
Well, only that that's the point of a study. And I think many businesses are having the opportunity and the city and government and everybody's having an opportunity now to see how does that work? Where do I need customer service in person and where can we work remotely? And so that's what the study's for. And the way I read it, it would be an idea of encourage people to do this if it works for them. I don't think anybody's going to damage their business profile, whether it's government or private industry, if it's not going to work for them.
This is Chuck.
Yep.
Go ahead, Chad.
This is already being tested. This is just nonsense. It doesn't have to be tested. It's working its way out by itself. This is over involvement on a part of our government. Crazy. Thank you.
Good point. They've got a head start. They know they're working it in some areas.
And got some experience to lend to the study. Yeah.
Well, if there's no, I don't see any other hands. I think my committee has the motion on the floor, so moved and seconded. So I'm going to go ahead and take a vote.
I have my hands up.
Oh, one more question. I didn't see it. Go for it.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I think we should table this subject matter due to the fact there's going to be a lot of question and answer. And it's worth to study that a little bit more because our whole system going to change anyhow, our whole customs and living standard. So I think we should table it till we get more information and answers.
My committee has the motion on the floor, so let's go ahead and finish that, and then the other committees can decide about tabling. Noel?
Yes.
Greg?
Yes.
Adele?
No.
And I'll vote yes. All right, we'll take it forward, and Javier and Diana.
Yeah, I'm going to put it to our next planning and land use meeting for Northwest because I can see we need to have a little more discussion before we vote.
Likewise, I think we would like to have a little more discussion at the Central Committee.
All right, we're done. Thank you.
Thanks, Robin. Move on to item 7. Consider a letter opposing the removal of red car tracks. Jason.
He's putting that over to the next meeting. I should have told Javier.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I didn't have time to complete the report I'm doing. So.
No problem. No problem.
Because how much time he puts into a report. It's great.
Yeah.
Well, by the look of it, you do a great job on it. So
Yeah, it's like
we
one a
look
year
forward to
would
that.
be with that, how about one a year? We could be happy.
All right. So we'll move on then to item number 8. Discussion and possible motion regarding CF Council File 20-1044 high value projects. Diana.
Great. Alec, can you put that one up on the screen? This is another effort to do something about corruption with regards to planning projects that was introduced by Nuri Martinez. And so the city council motion, oh, you know what? This is the city council motion. Alec, can you put up the proposed CIS? Yeah, that one. So the city council motion would have the planning department develop procedures to bypass the city's plum committee and send high value projects directly from the city's planning commission to the city council. The city's motion also asks the planning department to come up with a definition for high value projects. So the idea, their idea is that the 3 members of the plum committee can more easily be corrupted than the 15 members of the city council. Therefore, they think that by bypassing plum and going directly to city council, there would have less potential for corruption. My proposed, after listening to, we had a little bit of discussion on this at the last meeting, and after listening to it and thinking about it, my proposed CIS would actually oppose that motion. By definition, the high value projects are the most complex projects with the greatest impacts on the community, and they need the most scrutiny. And so the city council, the proposed city council motion would actually decrease the opportunities for community input. In addition to that, by having a project go straight to the council without a hearing at Plum, it also has the potential of taking up a great deal of time at city council, then taking time away from what the council might be able to use for other purposes. So the proposed CIS would conclude with the statement that a better approach would be to ban all contributions from developers and their representatives. So that's the proposed, that's my motion. So questions, comments? Robin has her hand up.
Okay, yeah, I agree with this. And I also wanted to point out that the thing they're afraid of is that consultants and lobbyists will target members of the Plum. This is going to happen in any case as city council members. That's ridiculous. If they can't handle that, I'm really scared. And then my second point or question was, who wrote this? It's so well written. It's excellent job.
Well, thank you. I stole a little bit from other neighborhood councils and just rewrote it. But thank you, Robin. Rock has his hand up.
I didn't really have my hand up. I moved to approve the language.
Okay. Greg.
Yeah, I also agree with this, and I understand the background rationale behind what the city council seems to be doing, which is they realize that it's easier to bribe 3 members of the Plum Committee than it would be to bribe 8 members of the city council. But the whole reason that Plum has gained so much power in part is because the city council just rubber stamps everything that Plum does. So right. In addition to your suggestion in here, Diana, that contributions be banned to city council candidates, if the city council would just actually do its job and not simply rubber stamp what Plum approves or disapproves, then that would also go a long way to eliminating these issues. So I just wanted to get that in, but I also agree with this.
So you want to suggest that as to add that as a sentence?
Yeah, I think amending this to say that words to the effect that the city councils act independently and instead of this rubber stamping Plum decisions.
I just don't think that's powerful. I don't think you can tell them that. It just doesn't really do anything. But I approve that everything goes through Plum and not go directly to city council. I agree with that. My point.
How about if we said they should exercise their independent judgment rather than just automatically approving what comes out of Plum?
Sorry, sure. Point of order. I think Greg was suggesting a motion which would have required a second and then discussion on the amendment to the motion.
Well, we're not quite at that point yet. We're still just discussing it, Noel.
So this is informal.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, thank you.
I actually made a motion, but that's okay.
Nobody seconded it.
Additionally, the city council should exercise their independent judgment. Would that work for you, Greg?
Exercise.
I'm the one that made the motion. You see, I'm amending my own motion in the process of making it is what I'm doing, just so you know.
Yeah, I don't know if we need the amendment. I think this might be tighter just as it is.
All right, we'll go on from there. Jan had her hand up.
Yeah, I need a little bit more clarification on what's considered a high value project.
Well, we don't really know. That's one of the, it's not defined here. It's like the other motion. What this does is it tells the planning department to define it and come back with a definition. That's what the city council motion does. So there is no definition at this point. Noel?
How long does it take to actually?
How long does it take to what, Jan? Oh, Jan, you.
How long does it take to actually find out? Like how long till they decide what
first of all,
the language is going to be?
First of all, the city council will have to consider and pass their own motion. This is saying that we don't support the motion. So first it would have to pass city council, and then there would be probably several months before they got to report back with that information. I can't tell you, but report backs in the city can take months.
We got to go and talk to developers about what's appropriate language.
Noel was next.
Thanks. I think this is great. Thank you. Thank you for putting this together, Diana. Really, I agree with it. I agree with what Robin said also. I mean, the Plum Committee are members of the City Council, so it's just a subset of the City Council already, but it's definitely critical that we have as many groups looking at these large projects and high value projects as possible. The only suggestion that I would make is on the last sentence to take out the word may, because that makes the last sentence a question.
Yep.
So I would just say, we suggest that a better approach to reducing corruption, et cetera, et cetera.
Yep. I'm very glad to do that. Doug Epperhart.
Doug.
Thank you, Diana. I just sent you a question asking if you were ignoring attendees. I would just point out that following Measure R from many years ago, lobbyists who work for developers are not allowed to make contributions.
Easy to figure out how to do it anyway.
Well, they may, but I'm just saying the present law is that if you are a lobbyist for a developer, you're not allowed to make contributions.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah, but can the developers themselves can make contributions?
No.
I think the spirit of
Nope.
this thing that they're proposing is like, we're tired of Plum getting all the bribes. We want it split evenly among all 15 of us, right?
That's why they're bribes and not contributions. No, if you check the, I think it's LA Administrative Code, that was passed when we agreed to give council members an extra term. That was the deal. You might remember this, Diana or Pat.
Well, I know it's been proposed. I actually, Doug, did not.
Measure R. We all, some of us voted for it and some of us didn't.
So, okay, well, thank you. I'm inclined to leave it in anyway.
Okay, you might want to check it.
But we should check it.
Well,
thank you.
Point of information on what Doug just said. If we determine that it is in fact Measure R that already has made that a law, we might want to reference that in the last sentence.
We might want to reference it as enforcement.
Measure, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
so would you rather say ban all bribes?
That won't go anywhere.
Yeah, report all bribes.
Let's see. I think everyone that had their hand up has spoken. Javier?
I agree in concept with what we're saying. Perhaps I'd like to find out a little bit more of what defines a high value project. And also I was
I'm sorry.
and also I was thinking of, that the creation of that anti-corruption division, how that's going to play into this as well.
Yeah.
But I mean, I support the idea.
This was a third person. Yeah, in terms of the definition of high value, we're not going to know that until the city council acts and actually formally ask planning department to report back with a proposed definition, at which time we can again comment.
Okay.
If that's what happens.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and make the motion for Northwest, and I heard Rock seconded it, so I'm going to take a vote for Northwest. Chuck?
I'd second it. Okay.
Yes.
What, Chuck?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Pete?
Yes.
Jason?
Yes.
Linda?
Yes.
Pat?
Yes.
Rock?
Yes, it happened again.
Alec?
Yes.
Jan?
Yes.
And Diana, yes. So that one was unanimous for Northwest.
Okay, can I get somebody in Central to second the motion to support?
I'll second it.
Thanks, Eugenia. So we'll take a vote. Army,
Yes.
Frank,
Yes.
and Eugenia.
She's
Was that
muted.
Eugenia was, what was your vote?
It was yes, sorry.
Okay, thank you. And myself, a yes. So we'll move the motion to the board. Thank you.
All right, can I do coastal?
So moved.
Well,
Second.
actually, I wanted to propose one change. Let's see if this is something you accept. Rather than the last sentence, I would replace that with, therefore, the Coastal San Pedro Neighborhood Council opposes the city council motion. What do you guys think?
More direct.
I'm fine with that.
And given our president doesn't like that last sentence. All right, then I'll move, if it's okay, we'll take the other motion off and I'll move.
Second the amendment to the amendment.
Okay, great. All right, Greg,
Yes.
Noel,
Yes.
Adele,
Yes.
and I'll vote yes. Great, thank you.
Very well. Any further comments on that item? If not, we can move to the next item, item number 9, updates regarding the 1309 South Pacific and 211 South Pacific. Robin?
Sure, I'll be very brief. The 1309 Pacific project is still under appeal to the City Council. The hearing was scheduled for last week, but it was canceled because I found errors in their noticing it. And so it'll be rescheduled before the end of the year, I'm sure. There's an attorney representing the appellant now, and he and his experts have found even more irregularities and errors, a lot more. And if anybody wants to read his letters detailing all of that, you can go to the council file 20-0680 and you'll find it there. It's one of the last submissions. It was submitted last Wednesday night, I think. On 2111 Pacific, we had the local hearing a couple weeks ago. It was mostly people opposed. The City Planning Commission hearing is scheduled for December 12th. So those of you interested might want to put that on your calendar. It's most of the same issues as the 1309 project, but actually many more issues. So I'm sure there will be another appeal. And the planners report to the City Planning Commission will come out, I think, a couple weeks before that December 12th meeting. So we should all look for that.
Great, thank you. Let's see, we're on the next item, which is number 10, updates on other items of interest to the committee. Diana?
Yeah, I just have a couple tonight. First one is a reminder on the Planning 101. And it's my understanding from the city, from Dunn, that not only are we're required to take it in order to stay on the planning committees after about the 16th, I believe it is, of December, but they said it has to be the project planning, not the community planning. You know, they're giving 2 courses. One's called project planning and the other's called community planning. And what I was told was that only the project planning would count. So people need to be aware of, watch for that. They are going to be scheduling more dates for that. And they won't be live, but they will be ones that you can listen to. They don't have those, they had the dates available, but they didn't have a way yet to sign up. So when I hear something, keep your eyes peeled for something regarding that, because we're all going to need to take it if we haven't taken it already.
Question, the dates, are the dates for live ones? Because otherwise you could watch it anytime you want.
The dates was, well, no, the problem is that they are having to track who's taking it. And so I guess that's why they've got the specific dates, is because those dates, they're tracking who's taking it. If you take If you just go in and take it any old time, you may not be tracked and might not get credit for it evidently. Yeah, it's
What do they specifically say? What you said, the community planning, and then you said the project planning. Are they labeled that way? So
yeah, they are labeled that way.
thank you.
Whoops.
And that email about
That's the governor.
Sorry.
Diana, which one did you and I take already?
We took the project planning. We took the one we needed. The 5 members of Northwest that have taken it all took the project planning.
The one we needed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We all took the one we needed. Okay, the next thing is at Rancho San Pedro. They expect to have their scoping meeting very soon for the redevelopment of Rancho. The scoping looks at what should be evaluated in the environmental impact report. And it will also give us a good sense of what their proposed project, they have to define their proposed project. So we'll get a lot better sense of that. And as soon as I know something about dates, I will get it out, but it would be a good meeting to try to attend if you can.
Diana, who's that man lurking in the background?
That's
Lurking.
Was it working or lurking?
He said, the one who's decided to not be on his own computer tonight, but just sort of sit here next to me and do something else. The third thing I wanted to call to everyone's attention is a motion that I found out about too late to actually put on tonight's agenda, but you may want to take up at your separate meetings. And it has to do with outdoor dining. It's Council File 20-1453, 20-1453. And what this is to find a way to really extend the outdoor dining program to create the parameters so that we can continue to have outdoor dining once the immediate motion wears off. So it's an important one it's a motion that Joe has put in. So it's very important.
Is there a specific time when that lapses?
I think, it was extended to December, and then I think it was extended again through March. I'm not, we have some time, there is some time on it.
And Diana,
Okay.
that was sort of approved at the Chamber Economic Development Committee.
Yes, it was.
Okay.
Do you remember when it lapsed? You probably don't.
No, I don't remember the time frame at all, actually.
Yeah. The next one is a new project that we heard about at the Economic Development Committee. Some of you may have heard of something called Beacon Landing. Beacon Landing at Beacon and O'Farrell. It will be at 89 units, permanent supportive housing being built by a group called Adobe Communities, which has been around doing this kind of thing since 1968. They have over 3,000 affordable units in 45 communities. That, by communities, I think they mean just buildings. And it's for very low income homeless. So we're going to invite them probably to come and give a presentation in January. But the place where they're going to be, they're proposing this is that storage facility, not storage, a commercial building that's down there on Beacon. We actually had someone come to a meeting quite some time ago to ask us for ideas of what should be done with that property. So they would tear down the existing buildings and build these 89 units of permanent supportive housing. The next thing also came out of the chamber meeting. The CD15 has a housing action plan. I don't know if any of you have seen it. It was quite interesting. It's basically talking about housing for the homeless. They have a goal of trying to house 60% of the CD15 homeless residents. But out of that, there were a few interesting points. The first one was at the Navigation Center, the one that's up there at the police department, where they have 168 bins and provide case management, that they are now 95% full. The second thing is the safe parking program. They're actually going to be starting sometime between now and the end of the year, a safe parking program at the municipal lot at the corner of 7th and Beacon. So Javier, I think your committee may want to find out more about that.
Yeah.
The 15. And they also mentioned that the link housing, the project on there by 9th Street, that affordable housing, that's 100% affordable housing. That that it had some legal hangups over the parking issues. I guess that's all been resolved and they're expecting that to move forward now. And then the last thing I had was that the phase 1 of the promenade, of the new section of the promenade, is supposed to be completed in February and the rest sometime in summer. What I don't know is how much of it will actually then be accessible to the community. Those are my updates, unless there's questions.
And Diane, they also say construction of all the stuff in West Harbor would start next year.
Yeah. We're gonna have
That's great. We're having a presentation of the West Harbor group in December.
meeting, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's great.
And just for the record, I'm having them at our next team meeting at Keller Williams LA Harbor. So if anybody wants to join, let me know.
Great.
No, that's great. Great, thank you. Very well. Next item on the agenda is update on state housing legislation by Rob.
Sure. There's really not a lot happening yet. We're hearing a lot of buzz on the telecommuting issue. Also, there's some discussion about the issue of large investors buying homes and driving the prices up. And this is a serious unintended consequence of the housing bubble, where all these homes are being built up and prices driven up. So I guess they're going to be discussing that as well. That's all I know. So
Just a good market, that's all. Low interest rates, that's all it is.
That's great. Very good. Anybody has any questions on that or comments or anything? If
Chuck,
not, we'll Chuck.
just a passing comment, let's put it that way. At some point, we're going to have to ask for a report on how successful all these homeless issues or promotions we're doing are, to know whether we're promoting more homelessness or we're solving the problem. Somehow we have to face that reality at some point. Just something to keep in mind.
We'll take that into account. Thank you.
Yeah, after project verification, I think is really important, helpful.
Very well. Nothing else on that. We'll move to public comment on items not on the agenda. Can you see anybody's hands other than Noel?
I see Jan's hand. Jan.
My hand wasn't up.
Okay.
Oh,
Pete,
okay.
Pete has his hand up.
Peter and then Noel.
There's only 4 fingers, but anyhow, this is for public outreach. There we have all neighborhood councils involved regarding on Gaffney and Capitol, the 7-Eleven. And I cannot understand why we fighting Rancho Holdings so much with the air pollution. And here we are allowing a new gas station right on the corner. They're also using diesel trucks there and polluting our air for our resident people. It is a health and safety problem. And I like to outreach to all neighborhood council. I put an article right here in the random links, and please look at it. It is informational and outreach so people can, resident and people can get informed regarding that subject matter. And I'd like to thank Jason for the info regarding the electric cars charging station. It will be the future anyhow, and we should look more or less into that instead of building more gas stations and polluting our air. The emission, we're working very hard in the harbor with emission control, and we're doing a good job. And they're electricizing all the vehicles there anyhow. And we're not against, our community is not against a new building there, but certainly for the gas station. I went personally around the neighborhood, and I got bad legs already. I'm not the younger guy anymore.
I think it,
And I went
Pete, I
also
think
around
you
this.
should pass your 2-minute time limit.
Not now.
Pete, you're gonna have
My
2 minutes for
my
comment.
my stuff is still running. So anyhow, now you shorten my time. Anyhow, I went around some businesses around here too, and nobody was informed. And I went last night to the meeting, and even our environmental chair didn't have any meetings at all about this subject matter. Thank you.
Thanks, Pete. Noel?
Yeah, thanks. I want to let you know that we've got king tides coming from November 15th to 16th and also December 13th through 15th. And the California King Tides Project is calling on you to photograph our highest tides of the year, and documenting these tides helps us to preview the impacts of sea level rise and understand how our shoreline is affected by high water today. So if you're able to take safely take photos of the coast or delta, the king tides will be contributing to an important community science effort. And I can send this to Diana, because there's all kinds of links where you can find your local king tide times. You can upload your photos. You can look at past photos. And there's also a free app that you can download where you can upload your photos onto the actual app. And it's super helpful scientific information that we need to gather. And it's fun. So I'll send that out. Thanks.
Yeah, that would be great if you could.
The dates coming right up on November 15th to 16th, and then also from December 13th through 15th. About a month apart.
Yeah, if you could forward that information to us,
I shall.
That would be great.
I'll do it right now, in fact.
I just have a quick announcement that at the end of this meeting, if everyone from Northwest would just stay on the Zoom meeting for just, it'll take about 5 to 10 minutes of Northwest meeting time. But I need everyone to stay and not leave.
Very well.
I have one more comment for all.
Yes, Pete.
All interested council people.
Just clear.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, right next to Nader's furniture place, we have some palm trees there, and it's a big eyesore. Somehow we should get the city to clean it up, and people be aware of it. San Pedro supposed to be beautiful, and that is a bad eyesore there. Thank you.
Thanks, Pete. Any further items?
I sent that out just now to you and Diana. So
yeah, I got it. Thank you. It just came in. Thanks. If there's no further comment on any items, we'll close the meeting. And for those of you in Northwest, stay with Diana, and the rest of everybody, please, thank you for coming, and we'll see you. The next scheduled meeting is December 9th. So we'll see you then.
So
Can I
if there's any student who did not put their name into the Q&A, please do so I can make sure you get credit. And you would get, if you were here for the full time, you will get 2 hours credit for tonight. And you're welcome to stay for the Northwest meeting following this.
All right.
Thank you, Diana. Thank you, Javier.
Thank you.
Good night, everyone.
Javier, can I come for iPad lesson?
Sure. Anytime.
Yeah, I'm serious.
It's actually pretty easy, so I'll be happy to show you.
I need some help.
All right.
Okay.
Good night. Contact me. Good night.
Yeah, thank you.
Great.
Good luck.
So Northwest, please stay so we can just,
Call a meeting to order.
I'm going to call the meeting to order for Northwest. And I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, somebody left. Who's not here? Who's here? Okay, I'm gonna have to look at roll for a minute. I'm sorry. Chuck is here. Pete's here. Jason here. Linda Alexander's here. Pat Nave. Oh, that's why. Okay, we're all here. It's because I didn't count Pat because his name isn't up there. I just wanted to do, I don't think there's anything left to vote on tonight, but I did want to set up a special meeting. Turns out that on that Ponta Vista is ready to come with their next bit to us, and that would be for sub area 3. And so we're sub area 2. We're looking at a date of Thursday, December 3rd. So I just wanted to check with all of you and see if anyone has a problem with that date. And
November.
Jan has her hand up, so I'll call on you in a minute, Jan. It's Thursday, November 3rd.
Well, I'm having
What
trouble
time?
back because today's the 11th.
December.
Yeah.
What time?
6 o'clock.
Okay.
Okay, so that would be that. And then there one thing from tonight that we put over, and there may be a couple of things from 7-Eleven that we need to discuss, but primarily the path of travel, because we asked them to go back and get that other report. And then the only other thing I wanted to do is there was one update I wanted to give you, and that has to do with the storage facility on North Gaffey. Turns out that the company that has proposed the storage facility fired all of the people from their storage section. They are still they're still pursuing this, but all of the staff that has done storage are gone, and they will not be operating it themselves, evidently. They will probably get it entitled and I don't know what. So I'm trying to get in touch with them to have them come back and give us an update on where they're at and what's happening now. So that's the end of my report. And Jan, you had your hand up? Yeah, Jan.
I didn't have my hand up.
Oh, you just hadn't come down. Okay.
I don't know why. I think it's because I had to plug my phone in.
Is that Dan I'm hearing? Someone's, okay, is there any other public comment? So now we're at public comment. Pete Burmeister.
Yeah. Is that property from the G brothers, what you're talking about?
Yes, yes.
Oh, okay. And I have another notice regarding the Clearwater project. We really should prepare ourselves, inform the public regarding the detour when they start digging on Gaffey north and south on taking the traffic lane away, because there's going to be a lot of problem there, traffic problem.
Does the notice have a date in it? Because I haven't seen something with a date in it.
No, they haven't given us any date yet.
Okay. Yeah.
So,
okay. Anything else before we adjourn this meeting? And we will have our next Northwest meeting then on Thursday, December 3rd. Thank you all and good night.
good meeting, thank you. Good meeting.
Thank you. Bye.
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 Look at this, Pat.
That's the proposition you were talking about.
Yeah, so does that do it? Should we take that sentence out or just?
Obviously, something is a problem still because
Yeah.
people are violating it.
Yeah, so we're going to change that to enforcement.
Doug is a pain in the ass. Leave your meeting.